we have given I have a bike, and then if for input again we have used checkbox and different IDs for another value, and then another label for having I have a car, and this way you can have checkboxes in it. So I have a bike and I have a car and I have a boat. So this way we can implement checkboxes. We can have name is equal to a vehicle and ID is a vehicle, and we can have now a label input type checkbox. Now label for vehicle 1, and in that I can write I have a car. Then we can give a BR here for to get into new line, and then we have an other input type checkbox, then name vehicle 1, vehicle 2, and ID vehicle 2, as ID and name should be like unique for every input form element, and then a label is for vehicle 2 now, and we have I have a bike. So let us see, like if we run this, you can see that we have two checkboxes, I have a car, I have a bike, and similar to that we can have another checkbox for like I have both. No, we can have another checkbox for I have a cycle, and we can have checkbox here, and name is vehicle 3, vehicle 3 again. So these all IDs and name are not used in HTML much, but these are basically used for basically they are used for JavaScript part. So vehicle 3, and the name can be I have a cycle, and this way you can, if I save it, and if we give a BR here, so then it will come into the new line. So now I have a car, I have a bike, and I have a cycle. And the difference between radio button and checkbox is that you can have multiple options selected. So that's why I have not given an option of both, because you can just directly select it and you have like two options selected, and this way you can add more elements using this simple syntax input type checkbox. And similar to the radio button, we have also a checked attribute in input type checkbox. Using that, by default first value will be selected, but if a user don't want to check that I have a car and I have a bike, he can remove it as per his choice. But if a user is filling, and if he has a car, then he has to select less number of attributes, less number of checkboxes. So this way you can implement checkbox. Now there are some other elements of form that are not included in input type but also plays a very well role, that is text area. So you would have seen many of the websites, like where they are asking for like feedbacks or something, or your reviews. You would have seen that a big uh, rectangle of input text input type or input field is there, and you have to add some of them inside it. So for that you can use text area. So text area have similar to that name and ID, and you have some columns and rows. So columns and rows basically defines the height and width of the text area. So let me show you what does it mean. So uh, let me add some BR here and a label, text area, and this way you can see that a text area is generated. Text area is generated, yeah. So text area is generated, and you can add multiple of things. So in the basic difference between text area and the input text field is like you can have a the length in the vertical, in the horizontal direction only, but in text area you can use it as per your choice. So this way you can have a text area, and manually you can also change it from here. but when you refresh it, it will come to the default size that was given by columns and rows values. So if you want to increase this to like 300 columns, like 300 columns and 100 rows, you can have it, but it will become too large, like very large, and we don't want it. So we can come to we can come to like 100 columns and 10 rows. It will be pretty nice. Yeah. So let us change to 50. I think that will be perfect. Okay. So this is okay. Text area is this basically text area is the text input text field only, but it has the liberty to extend its size rather than just extending in vertical only. So you can like change it from, like you can write here or you can go like here, and basically it is used to have multiple lines of text input field. This is a feature of basic text area. So now moving forward to the other value, you have, as I discussed in Amazon website also, we have a drop down menu. Like if you click on something, you will have a list of items in a drop down fashion. So instead of having various radio buttons that will fill the whole page, you have a feature of text drop down list. So how to implement that? You have a select tag, and for that, inside that you have an option value, and inside that you can have value like if you want to have this drop down menu for like the flavors of ice cream. Suppose your website is about flavors of ice cream and you want to have it, so you can have a label for uh, flavors of ice cream, and select name and id, and then for option value you can have a chocolate. Then similar to that you can have multiple options. You can have a vanilla and strawberry. Then you can have something mixed. I don't know that. You can have anything you want. And if I click refresh, now you can see that flavors of ice cream, and now you have chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, and mixed. So this way you can have a drop down list where multiple menus or multiple options are listed. Instead of taking the whole website space, it is listed in its own drop down. So this way you can have a drop down list inside your website. And now since every form has to be submitted, it should have a button called submit button. So for that we have an input type submit, and then we have name and id, and also we can have a value submit. And if I save it and refresh it, let me add some BRs here, and you can see that a submit button is created, and once the submit button is clicked, the website is refreshed, and all the settings have been reset. Like if I want name Devang Gupta, I'm male, I have car, bike and cycle, like this is good, and I like chocolate, so I will be leaving it default. And if I click on submit, everything is cleared. But basically this is not cleared. A new website, this website is only refreshed it again, so all the values are disappeared. But when we link a JavaScript file with it, so when the submit button is clicked, all these values can be manipulated or stored using JavaScript to any database or something. So this way you can implement a form inside your website. Now there is another button called reset button. So input type reset, name and id and value can be reset values. And if I save it, another button is created of reset values. And since I was like, since if I write some values here, Gupta, and in male I have car, bicycle, and this is good, and I like flavor is chocolate. So when I was clicking submit button, you will notice that a refresh, the website is loading again and it is refreshed. But if I click reset values, the values is resetted without refreshing the website or reloading the website. So you can see that now no values have no the website is not refreshed. But if I click submit, you can see here the reload button. It is clicking again and again. So this is the basic difference between the input type submit and reset. Submit refreshes the website, and reset values only reset the values. So when I click submit, the website is refreshed. And also, if we connect JavaScript with it, that you will learn in the next few lectures, you will see that you can take the values from these form elements, and then you can use it for your own purposes. Like you can design a user page and you can save the information there and in the database, and also you can use the information to increase your fan following or something. You can do anything you want. So this way forms are very useful. Now input type, as you have seen, input text field and all, HTML5 has some more cool features that you can have. Like if you want to have enter a date, let me add some br here, and in between the in before the submit button, if I write input and type is equal to color. So suppose if you want a user to have a color, you can see that, and a label also for it. Label choose colors, and choose colors, and you can see that a input field is generated where you can use multiple colors of your own. Like you can see, you can create red, blue, black and something, and you can use these colors to like modify, or you can play around with it using the input of users. So you can use colors if you want to have if you want to like have a feature in your website, like user can create a custom color of your all of his website. Instead of dark and light theme, you can help him choose a color from it, or you can choose and you can use it whatever situation you want. So this way you can help user to choose colors from it. So similar to that, we can have a label for date. So if we want to have a user to add a date here, so input type and date. If I save and refresh it, now you can see that the user will have the you can enter type text also here, and user would have to have enter like date like 1 to 12, or like today's date 20, and then some of them will write like 2010 20/10, or some of will like 2010, or some of like 20th October, like this way. So this will not be uniform and will create ambiguity in your database when you will be trying to fetch the data. But when you give them data and then you give them like input type data, this way you can like restrict the user from entering their own values, but they can select from here, and also they can change the values like 12 like uh, 20 10 and 2021. So this way 20 October 2021 today's date, or they can have an option from here also 2021, or some other values like 1st October 2021. So this way they can. So if I reset the values will be resetted. So this way we can have other input type also. Like if I go and write label and have add a number, enter a number. For that we can have input type text and then a number, and if I save it, you will see that enter a number, and it looks like a normal text field, but you will see the notice the difference here. If you see here, you have a option here to increase or decrease the number entered in it. So you can go to negative also, you can go to positive also. So this way it helps the user to enter only numbers. Like you cannot add any text here. Like if you enter a number and then give text, they can add numbers, but also with that they can add text also. To remove that ambiguity, HTML5 helps us to add a specific input text field for numbers. So this way there is another input type known as range, and for that you can have for add a label for range and input type range, and if I save it, you will see that this slide bar is generated using the input type range. And for this can be used in various ways, like if you have visited many websites like Flipkart or Amazon, you will be having to select a price range. So you can set values like if this slide bar is like 75% covered, it is like 75% above they want. Or you can use like if it is like 25% colored or covered, then you can add values regarding it using JavaScript. So, but this way you can add a feature inside your website to have a range like from this to this. Or if you want to add a filter, for that you would have you want some, if you visit a question answer page and you want to have uh, a filter where user can select from this to this year. So instead of entering the years, you can have them give them the slide bar, and they can directly increase or decrease the value as per they want. So this way you can have the user interactivity with your website. So these were the some few input type field. There are some more like a label, like some BRs, and then label, and you can have search, and then the input type label for, I'm sorry, search here. And if I save and refresh it, you can see that a specific search bar is generated. This would be feel like same to it, but the functionality of this is different from the simple text bar. And there are some more like URL and month. So you can use them, like if I go and write here month and edit it to month, as the code was getting little longer, you can have similar to that, you can have only months for months. Like there were, for date you can have date and also select months and all, but for it you can have only month and year. And for there is also a called a week. There is also a week part, week and week. And if I refresh it, you will see that now month, year, and also which week is going on, like 42nd week 2021, for week 42 2021. So this way you can give users options using your form elements, like what we have discussed: simple input text field, radio buttons, check boxes, text area, drop down list. Then we have seen color, input type color, then date, then input type number. Then we have seen range, then we have seen input type month, week, and many more. So and to visit or to learn more, you can go to any website like W3 Schools or MDN, and you can visit there and search for HTML form elements, and you will see like many more uh, rather than this, you can see many more other form elements or form types, input types. So this way you can have a form prepared. And now, so today we have completed we have seen a fun tag of HTML, that is marquee tag, and discussed various form elements. So inside a form element and input type is equal to text, this part I have one more thing, a value attribute placeholder, and inside that we can have a first, let me show you, first name. And if I refresh it, you will see that a light gray text is appeared here. And if I click it and write Devang here, you will see that that thing is disappeared. And you would have seen that in many of websites and many other websites, that that beforehand it is written first name, and then when you write text, it is disappeared. So this is basically a placeholder that helps user to know that what we have to write in this text box. So you can use this in this also, first placeholder, last name, And inside text area also you can have like various text area. Inside text area you can have a value placeholder. Enter your text. You can see that this is the enter your text is appeared. So this way basic form is created. And now as we have discussed and updated our personal info.html, let me show you. If I copy my path and if I you would have seen that we always, like from day one, we are creating this website personal info, and you will be updating it one by one when you learn CSS and JavaScript also. And till now we have completed like adding images, then using various HTML heading tags and paragraph tags, and various text formatting tags like bold, italic, underline. And then you can see that we have implemented HTML list that we learned in day 2, and HTML links that we learned in day 2, that how we can link two websites or two HTML pages. And then now we have seen, at last we have seen that table, and we how to add the data inside the tables. So now we will be creating a feedback form for our personal website. Like if a user comes to our personal website and see like, oh okay, so this little improvement is required, or suppose he want to give like a personal feedback to you, like how is your website, and like he want to contact to you regarding it. So you can have a separate page for it. Like after grades you can give a heading. So let's write after table you can give some HR, and you can give an H1 feedback page. And if I refresh it, you will see that a feedback page is created. So inside that feedback page we can have an li, or if you want uh, you can add an anchor tag, and you can like click here to give your feedback. And we can have an href. For that we have to have another page called feedback.html. So, and to link it we can have href of feedback.html, or you can copy the path from here and directly paste inside it. So when I refresh, when I save it, you will see that click here to give your feedback. And inside that let us add some HTML boilerplate. HTML, then head, then title, then body, and then inside the body we can have inside the title we can have feedback page. And inside the body you can give now we can have our form elements. Like let us first save it and copy the path, and let me paste it here. So feedback page is created. So now we can see that the file is linked properly. So inside the body now we can start. So we can, to give a uniformity, we can copy this image, copy this background image, so that a similar dark gray color is generated there. Yeah, so if I refresh it again, so okay, so now this is okay. Now if I want, I can have a form tag to enter, to start with the form. And we can give, now we can start creating a form. So beforehand we can give a h1 here, and inside h1 we can have feedback form. And inside a form we can have an input text where it is accepting the name of the person, like similar to we have created in our tutorial beforehand. We can also create here an f name, and have a label for f name, and here we can have first name. Now we can go and give a two brs, and we can have in label again for l name, and we can have last name. We can give some semicolons here, and you can add placeholders value and other values that we have discussed, autocomplete, autofocus, or required. So we can have a placeholder value here, and we can give first name, and inside the other part we can give input type text l name, and we can give a placeholder value, so last name, and we can give a required value, so required. And if I refresh it and show you, you can see that now first name and last name is created. Since it is giving suggestions, we can like autocomplete and off, and in this also autocomplete, because to me it feels like it is really autocomplete. It really irritates, so you can use it as per your choice. I am doing off now. Yeah, so autocomplete is off. Now we can ask for we can ask for his gender, similar to that we have used in the tutorial of our session, gender. And then we can give some radio buttons, input radio, gender, and then we can give male and male. Then we can give input type radio, gender, and a female, or you can give more options like other. The more the options, the good it will represent for your website. Other. So now we can see that female, and other is created, and by default, it male is checked, and if she is female, we can, or other, they can change it as per their choice. So now gender is done. Now we want to have their mail, or we want to have their phone number, like if we want to contact them, if we like if we like their suggestion and if we want to contact them, so we can have their telephone number. We can use input type tel, and we can have first label here, br, and we can have a label for this, and we can have a phone number, and like I will be expecting that it will be from India only. So for that I am hard coding +91, and then I am saving it. So now you can see that input for phone numbers credit. Similar to that, we can have uh, input for email also, label for email, and email, and then input type email. So this way you can have the input type email and input type phone number +91 and email. And when a user enters his mail, he will be uh, directly logged in to the he will be directly the information will be directly saved in the database. So these all validations will be completed in JavaScript. Like if we click on submit, and if it does not have @gmail.com or @anything, then it will cause an error. And if you want, if you can you can have this part required, that you want the phone number. So required will give an error if the user will not enter its phone number. So it will give an error. Let me show you first. Now, if if we want to have, like as we seen in Amazon website, you want to have a user to give you rating. So for that you can give first a label, and inside that you can have the ratings, and ratings, and then we can have input type checkbox, and you will see that this is created. Now we can copy it like for 5 times, copy paste paste paste. And so a user, if like he liked your website, like he want to give out of 5, he want to give 4 value, so he can select 4 out of 5. And this way you can have a feature like a rating feature like an Amazon website. And you can modify these checkboxes using CSS. Now you want to add a drop down value, a drop down options for your website option. Like first you want to have a select. So let me give a label here. The label is for what type of feedback the user is providing us. Like is it related to the content of the website, or is it related to the any mistake or any false thing I have written, or it is that he wants to contact me, like what type of feedback or what type of thing he wants to do. So you can give a select here, and inside select you can have you can have option value like content based, and inside another option you can give uh, content based or design based. You want to give a feedback, or you can give other options also as per your creativity and thought process. And you can also give a option of like just liked your website. So this way you won't have to go throughout the content of the web feedback. You just can, and the user can only specify. Basically, it can act as when you write an Gmail, you have an option called subject. So you can write a subject here where user, when reads without reading a full mail, he can understand what is this mail about. So this way we can just replicating a feature of Gmail, or so that a user is giving a feedback, you can directly see that what is this feedback or content based. So you can now see like, yeah, it is required, or just like your website and he wants to contact me, or he want to give like, wow, a great website. So you can read it and just enjoy your life. So this way you can have a drop down list to your website. And in last you can give a text area part. Suppose if this is not enough for him and he wants to deliver a big chunk of text for you, so you can give a column of 30 and rows 10, and in this placeholder you can write placeholder enter your feedback. And I am not keeping it required, as some user wants or some user don't want. And you can give a label here also for uh, feed, or let us okay, we can give a label feedback. And if I save it, and if I give a BR here, so it will come in two different lines. This way you can see that this way you can see feedback, and you can enter a text here. And at last you can have two buttons, submit and reset buttons, BR and BR. And then you can have two buttons, input type submit. Then you can have value submit, and you can have another input type reset, and you can have a value reset. So this way you can have two buttons, submit and reset. And now I told you that I have added a thing called required in first name, but not in the last name. So when I hovering it on it, you will see that please fill out this field as it is entered required. Similar to that, if I sell phone number, you will see please fill out phone. Please fill out this field. You can have the placeholder in these two also, like email and phone number. Like if you go and write here placeholder and phone number, and inside email also you can give a placeholder email. So this will not feel that your website is empty. But since I cannot give checked value, as suppose the user don't want to give anything, so he can give 0 also, his choice, his views. So but if I left this empty, this will look like the empty text field, and this won't look like good or nice enough. So I have, we can give placeholder values, temporary values, that if I write something, it will be removed. So suppose since I added required here, if I submit it without filling it, you will see that an error also come here. Please fill out this field. So if once I fill this field, Devang and Gupta, and my phone number is something 89899. My email is devang@gmail.com. Sorry, at the rate. Then rating and this content and some time of basic text, and if I submit it, now you will see that the form is accepted. So this way you can create a basic form in your website. Another feature in form you can have is like the concept of field set and legend. So for that, for let me paste it here, and there is a concept of field set here, field set, and then a legend. A legend will, what really does that, let me show you. Enter the details, and then after that we have to copy this whole part inside it again, paste. Let us format this format document, and if I save it, now you will see that, now if you can see here, boundary across this form is generated. Let me, for time being, let me remove this background image, and if I, now you can see that a feedback form heading is there, and other boundary is created inside it. Enter the details, and you can have like this solved part. And if you now if and if you can play, now you can play around with it, like you can have a separate field set for just the personal information, like and name, last name, gender, phone number, email, and another for ratings, feedback, and what type of feedback a drop down is. So you can have two menus rather than one menu, and you can play around it. Like if I want to show you what do I mean, you can give another field. Yeah, you can write here, enter the personal details, and you can have another field set similar to that, and you can give a legend, and enter feedback details, and now you can give the submit button will be common in both of them. So let me copy the first part, is this part. The check boxes will also be copied, and the what type of feedback we want, and checkbox, right? Yeah, so from this we will be copying, and we will be not copying the submit button for now. And now if I paste it here and I save it, now you will see that a separate feedback details is created. Okay, fine. And we can give some BR here, and we can give a button, two buttons from here we can copy, as we want buttons in both parts. So now you can see that two separate fields are created. Enter feedback details, enter personal details, and inside that you can have now inside that, only if someone wants to sign up on your website and wants to like get your details, get your of that newsletters, he can just send your personal details and you can receive it. Or if he wants to also add a feedback also, then he can have then he has to submit, first fill his form. So personal details are compulsory, and the feedback details are not compulsory. So to make something compulsory, you can have a required attribute in it. So this way you can create a feedback form, and you will be in a good, you can have your image, background image from here if you want to have this part, and you can save it. Now if we see our final page, how does it look? I guess it looks pretty nice. And suppose if a user comes on your page, and he gets to a feedback page like he wants to report something. Okay, so this part is not good, or this can be styled little badly, or suppose your titles are underlined but this part is not, this is not underlined, or everything is in caps but your family and social media handles are not in caps. So he can go to your feedback page and write to you that your some of your headings are not caps, or your some of your headings are not underlined, and this way you can improve on your feedback form, improve on your personal information website. So this was the fun lecture on HTML. Today we learned the basics of HTML form and marquee tag. Marquee tag is basically a tag which helps to add animation to your website without using any CSS and JavaScript, a text animation only. And inside the form we learned various form elements, and inside form elements, the basic and the most widely used form element is the input element, and inside that we have various attributes like type attribute, and the type attribute can have various values like text, radio, checkboxes, and all. So this was the fun introduction to forms. I hope you like this fun tutorial or fun live session. Please do go and practice these all things that we have learned today. Uh, so we will be meeting tomorrow again, and tomorrow there will be some CSS lectures for you all. So thank you so much and have a nice evening.